I recently went back to playing Sekiro after having not played it since it came out. When people ask me, what's your least favorite FromSoft game, I almost always say Sekiro, and it's not because I don't like it. I do. It's just the game I had the least amount of fun with, you know? It's also my least played in the series, and in a weird twist, it turns out you actually have to play games in order to actually like them, right? Like if you just give a game a try and then you put it down and you try something else and never go back to it, guess what? You're never gonna like that game. Duh, right? I know, I just told you something you already knew. Like the combat mechanics were so very different from every one of their other titles, and there was no progression system, and it was less about building a good character as it was about mastering the game's mechanics. There was no way to get around the challenge except to deal with it, and I was not used to that, so therefore I didn't like it. Now I went back to play it recently and I was getting my ass handed to me. I thought I'd be able to handle it, but it was proven to be as difficult as I remembered it being. But I eventually started getting the hang of the game, and that's when things started clicking. This isn't my least favorite FromSoft game, it's my least played, and I never took the time to actually appreciate it. You see, when I first started playing this game, I was actively fighting against the game's mechanics because of muscle memory. I think I actually beat this game without fully understanding how to play the game correctly. And because of that, it was the most painful experience I've had with a game in a very long time. And it was my fault because I had taught myself how to play these games one way. And because I did that, I was actually actively sabotaging my enjoyment of this game. And it kind of reminds me of a story. The first CD I ever bought was Pretty Hate Machine from 9 Inch Nails. I paid for it with a bag full of nickels and quarters and dimes that I found in the cushions of my couch and the various candy dishes full of tchotchkes and old candy. I walked 3 miles to the Rainbow Records on Kirkwood Highway, and I browsed the store for what felt like an hour. I had 2 albums in my hand. One was 9 Inch Nails and the other was Tool Undertow. I struggled with this decision for a long time, walking back and forth, browsing shelves to make it look like I was still actively looking, so the girl that I had a crush on in high school wouldn't have to kick me out of the store. She would eventually have to count my bag full of change, however, but that's what she gets for rejecting me in high school, Jesse! Why? Now, I'd never heard anything from 9 Inch Nails until MTV played them one night during Ricky Rackman's Headbangers Ball. I used to record the show every night through this little boombox that I got for Christmas by turning up the volume of the TV really loud and placing it in front of the speakers. I'd make these shit quality mixtapes of Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Helmet Tool, and in my opinion was the first form of piracy I ever took part in. Then one night, this music came on. Music that sounded like what a robot puts on the record player before foreplay starts. I never heard anything like it before. It didn't sound like guitar, it didn't sound like piano, and the drums were too perfect to be drums. It was just music made up of these unfamiliar sounds and harmony and rhythm, and it blew my friggin' mind. Before, I had borrowed my friend's Tool CD a while back and recorded it, but couldn't get it all on one tape, so there were 3 songs at the end of it that I had never heard in my life, and Tool was by far my favorite band on the planet. But on the other hand, this other album was brand new and full of new and exciting sounds to discover, so I had to make a choice, and it was a tough one. I ended up settling on Pretty Hate Machine because I had worn out my copy of Undertow, and I wanted another fix of that weird-ass music. I walked all the way back home, crossed the highway like a human frogger, and bummed a ride from a stranger who I was sure was gonna grab my at some point, and I was a little disappointed when he didn't. I mean, what am I, too ugly to molest, dude? Anyway, Anyway, I got home, I rushed to put the CD in, and I kinda hated it. It was not what I expected, and to be honest, I have no idea what the hell I was expecting. The song they played on the radio felt different than the entire album. It had an energy that was lacking in many of the other songs, and I guess my gut reaction was to not like it because of that. When you have a gut reaction to something, everyone always tells you, you always trust your gut, it's always right. How about you shut up your mouth? Your gut is reactionary. Your gut doesn't like shit it's never heard of before, and you shouldn't listen to it because your gut only cares about what you put inside of it, not what's going in between your ears, unless it's a bullet. Put it to you this way, if you think your gut is telling you something, it's probably just trying to tell you it wants to eat a cheeseburger, okay? Anyway, weeks later, I was throwing myself around the house, bored out of my head, and I looked at that CD case, opened it up, looking at the booklet that came with it, and I hit play. I reasoned that if I went through all of that trouble to get this album, I might as well give it another try. After all, for the kind of money I threw at that album, I could have gotten 2 Philly cheesesteaks, okay? So while the pictures of cheesesteaks danced in my head, I listened and started liking more of the tracks every time I listened to it. And over the course of a day and a night, the CD had grown on me to the point where I wanted to hear more 9 Inch Nails, not less. I don't think I would have formed any connection to that album if I had all of the money in the world or a vast library of songs at my fingertips, because liking something new is work. It doesn't always happen automatically. Sometimes it takes a little while. When confronted with something new, you have to give it a chance first. You have to bring down some of the walls and start accepting all of those things that you wish were different about the media you're engaging with. And you have to put aside all these personal preferences and open yourself up to the experience, and that too takes time. But if I could instead just click on another album by a completely different artist the moment the album I'm listening to gets just a little too challenging, I probably wouldn't have taken the time to like that new album. Have you ever noticed that people have gotten a little bit more aggressive lately? Because I have. These motherfuckers nowadays are not used to inconvenience or somebody disagreeing with them or hearing ideas that don't align with their ideas. And when someone steps out of the box, you got a line of assholes trying to push you back inside because no one wants to hear anything new. No one wants to adapt. Yeah, this was nice, Strat, but what are you looking at for your next game video? Or what game is this? We're so used to having everything chosen for us based on our preferences that if someone is doing the speed limit on the freeway, chances are that guy's gonna try and run you off the fucking road for costing precious seconds getting home so they can listen to their favorite podcast, eat their Wendy's Biggie Bag meal, and the entire contents of their guts out in a stream of Wendy's water. That's my pet name for diarrhea. Wendy's. Feeling constipated? Not anymore, you're not. That is the world we live in. We consume, we sleep, we consume in our sleep. We have so many entertainment options out there, and all of it one click away from beaming directly into our eye sockets. And you'd think that would cause people to branch out, but it doesn't. It encourages you to stick to what you know because the algorithms decide what piece of media you consume next. And if you want to try and branch out, it will try and force you back into your box by making it hard to change what you prefer to see. If you try searching for example, High School Musical is good, actually, and you've spent your entire adulthood watching videos saying it's bad, all your search results will be sarcastic because the algorithm has a hard time believing anyone can change their mind. I find myself not liking hardly anything I watch or listen to if it doesn't remind me of something I've already heard or seen. I have to make conscious effort to try new things, then fight the algo for long enough until it adapts, and that's sad because I remember pirating a lot of weird-ass games. Now, as I pointed out before, I didn't have a lot of money back then as a teenager, and come to think of it, I don't have a lot now either. Some would say I haven't grown up, but to that I would say, shut up. If there was a new game out, chances were I didn't have the money to buy it, and the internet was this wonderful place where search engines hadn't yet censored everything we see and curated our search results to make sure everything we watch wrings as much watch time out of us as it can. If I told you, for example, how much time I spent today watching whatever an algorithm decided I wanted to watch instead of deciding for myself, you would not find it funny. You would find it sad if you weren't doing the exact same yourself. Now, pirating for me was a way to try before I buy, because when I did finally get a job, it paid like ass, because for some reason, it's perfectly okay to pay a teenager the bare minimum wage because they, the owners, think your time is worthless. But my time wasn't worthless. Do you know how much porn I could have consumed in the time I spent working at Burger King? Let me tell you, it's a lot, and I'm never getting those wanks back, no matter how hard I try. And if I was to buy a game at full price, I would need to make sure it was something I actually wanted to play, because I was sacrificing valuable self-abuse time to not only afford it, but to play it. So for me, I download a game, dodge the viruses, find a crack, troubleshoot the damn thing all night, and eventually I get to play that game. And if I liked that game, I'd buy it. You'd get my money, everyone is happy. But if I hated it, then I wasn't buying your game anyway. Broke people don't buy let alone they don't like. It's why the next album I ever owned was one that I stole from a local Best Buy. I was a dirty, rotten little thief all throughout high school. And trust me, this isn't a brag so much as it is a confession. But once I started working for a living and making money, I never pirated another game because I didn't need to. And frankly, I didn't want to. Have you ever been taken to the back room to talk to police? Let me tell you, it's scary. And I was white, so I could only get away with this maybe like 10 more times max. Now, back before this time, games had demos, shareware, those little demo discs that came with your copy of Computer Wank Monthly. We used to be able to try before we bought, but once they got rid of all that, there really wasn't any choice for broke bastards such as myself. Sure, I could have just had some self-control and not stolen anything, and you could have minded your own business. Let me create a scenario for you. Let's say there are 3 groups of people in a room, trapped inside with only the money they brought with them. In one group, you got rich guys, another group is middle class, and the last group are the very poorest of poor people. This room has no doors, but it does have a slit to slide things in and out of the room. To get food, you have to pay for it. Same with water. The first day goes by without incident, but by the second day, the poor people are starting to get hungry, and worst of all, thirsty. Desperation kicks in, and eventually the poor people start extorting the middle class for a share of their water and bread, while the rich guys are eating steaks and drinking wine, as they are apt to do. Eventually, when the middle class starts feeling the squeeze and realize that they're about to be poor, they join forces with the poors to form a powerful group, and they confront the richies. But the richies take the middle class aside and say, "Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, so, here's the deal. We'll give you whatever we don't eat if you protect us from the poor people." And that's how we got cops. Point is, a lack of access to money means theft becomes necessary to survival. Don't believe me? Go watch a group of hyenas steal a kill from a lion. You gotta be awfully goddamn hungry to steal from a friggin' lion. It's a law of nature. Desperate times breed desperate men, and desperate men need something to entertain them while they're staring into the gaping maw of oblivion and mortality. And if you're one of the class of people like me who haven't seen an actual significant raise in their pay in over 25 years, you know exactly where I'm going with this. You can only bleed people so dry before they become a husk, and the entire thing just collapses around your ears. Now, I was watching Netflix and I saw that they added new episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know, you like that show. Yeah, shut up, it's fun, stop being mean. Anyway, they added 2 new seasons, which excited me because I was very disappointed by how that show ended. But Netflix, for some ungodly reason, decided that this show that they just got more seasons of didn't need to have the first 2 seasons anymore. Yes, they added 2 seasons and then took away the first 2 seasons. Why? Like, what is the point of that? To make it harder to watch the show on a service you pay for? Like, how did they gain the rights to 2 more seasons, plus the 3rd season they already had, but lose the rights to the first 2 seasons? That doesn't compute.
Everything's computer.
And that's not all. I found out that not only was there 2 more seasons after the 4th one, but there's actually 8. 8! So you mean to tell me you got what I want to watch, so long as I only want to watch the middle of the show? Not the beginning, not the end, but the middle? So I want to watch all of the available seasons of this show that I've grown to like, including the first 2 seasons that I've already seen. If I want to do that, I need to sign up for another service, Peacock. Didn't that used to be a porn app? If I want to watch, I gotta pay another monthly fee just so I can watch the show with ads, or pay even more for an experience that isn't complete ass, just to have it at some point get removed because the service no longer wanted to pay the licensing fees, or I could just go out and buy the entire collection for $70 and have it forever, or I could just, procure it another way. I could go to a site and download it for the cost of internet access. See, you make piracy a necessity when the availability of a product you own becomes difficult for the consumers to own. And I know you don't need to watch every episode of a show in order to survive, but it definitely makes the voices in my head a little quieter. All right, one more example of bull. South Park is one of my favorite turn your brain off shows. There's a season in which the first 2 episodes are about Tom Cruise packing fudge. I kid you not, he works in a factory packing fudge into boxes. Now, I don't get the joke because I'm just a simple down-home country chicken lawyer, but I imagine it has something to do with Tom Cruise's love for packing things into people's boxes. I don't know why that's supposed to be funny. I too enjoy packing people's boxes every now and then, but when you buy the seasons of that show, you will be dismayed to find out that these episodes have been stripped out because Tommy got a little peeved off and his fruity little club got involved. The only way that you can see those episodes is to download them illegally. But by that point, Amazon already got my money. So I'm out the cost of the season because it was the only real reason I wanted to watch that season in the first place. Want to stream it instead on the streaming service that owns the rights to the show? Guess what? You still can't watch it. The only way to watch that episode is to go to a shady site, download a torrent, and hope and pray that you don't get a letter informing your parents that you were downloading South Park and Little Oral Annie illegally. Wired published an article saying that piracy saw a 13% increase since 2022, with more than 17 billion visits in a single year. To put that into perspective, that's twice the population of the planet Earth. Yes, there's more people on the planet, more people around the world have internet now than at any other point in time, but I'm going to ask you nicely to refrain from muddying my point with facts. See, pirating physical media is way different. You can't just download a movie for free in your pajamas like you can with digital. You have to put on pants and shoes, preferably underwear, and go to a public place, scout out the locations of security cameras and determine the blind spots, wait for the security guard at the front to start talking to a customer, and then stuff the DVD in your shirt and risk arrest. But once you've wrested that product from the hands of the greedy store manager who, get this, wanted to be compensated for their property. Am I right? Lol. Once you steal it, it's yours. With streaming, even though you're paying for that service, and you might even be paying for the service just to have access to that one thing, they can remove it at any time, and you'll be left wondering why you're still paying for something you don't use in hopes that they'll add more seasons of Blue's Clues. Then there's the links these knob ends will go through to keep you from making a copy of the media you bought on their platform. There's this wonderful little piece of software called HDCP. It stands for High Bandwidth Digital Content Protection. The copyright holders of the streaming content you pay for were so adamant about not allowing people to record the content they stream that they got in bed with Intel to have HDCP block recording software like NVIDIA Shadowplay and Game Bar recording, which is native to Windows. And this is how it works. It runs in the background while you're streaming, and it checks to see if any unauthorized programs are running, and it disables them. And it does this through some hardware level baked into every processor or some like that. Gonna be honest, I don't know or care, because guess what? OBS still works. That's right. So do capture cards, as does anything that isn't explicitly in bed with the streaming platforms. I wonder how much all of those platforms kicked into the pot to get Intel and AMD to play ball. It must have been a lot. I think we've all seen our fair share of media platforms die, and when they die, they don't usually let you download your content. Not every company is like GOG. What if Amazon decided that they no longer want to make available the content that you bought on their digital platform? They are huge, too big to fail, but these assholes always got an excuse. We just can't afford to host it anymore. It's just too expensive. Well, shouldn't you be able to, through fair use, keep a copy of that product for later use? No, says the man from Washington. It belongs to the rich. The companies that serve and host our content have a system set up for themselves that completely indemnifies them from any responsibility, takes away your right to ownership, and gives the company carte blanche to take away your property whenever they feel like it. And on top of this, they make you sign exploitative contracts just to use the product that you bought, so that they can sue you later for any reason that they might have put in the contract that you didn't read, because face it, you ain't reading that. You got other things to do. They have it set up this way to make sure that you always have a reason to keep buying. Digital content is not a light bulb. Once you buy it, it's supposed to be around forever. But the platforms can shut themselves down, take away all your property, and start up again with a completely different name, and have you back on the hamster wheel working to pay their bills by buying you already own again. But when you pirate this instead of opting into a crooked system where you have no rights to the you bought, the billionaires turn out their pockets with tears running down their face and say, hey, come on, man, think about my 12 kids and my mutilated penis. I need that money to send OnlyFans models more IVF kits. Now, I'm not oblivious. I know what you're thinking. Is Strat ever going to talk about what I care about the most? That my hentai waifu and lust goddess is protected and ensured that I never lose access to her riding me like a cat rubs its on the carpet? Is he ever going to talk about games? Fine, I guess. AAA games suck now, okay? There's no two ways about this. They straight up suck. And the good ones, the really good ones, those ones that end up sucking because the publisher cared more about stopping a handful of assholes with no knowledge of how cracking works from stealing their precious copyrighted content. Let me give you an example. Elden Ring is one of my favorite all-time games, but to this day, I still cannot play this game satisfactorily on PC because of that goddamn easy anti-cheat. There is this really weird ass contingent of people out there who think that these anti-piracy, anti-cheat softwares are not responsible for tanking the performance on their PC. So I gotta ask, have you heathens never heard of seamless co-op? It's a mod. What it does is remove the easy anti-cheat and allows you to play with your friends without any of the shit that the base game makes you go through, it's wonderful. You can play through the entire game with your friends without jumping through any hoops. But you know what the best thing about it is? It runs twice as good as the version with anti-cheat. That's right. With the anti-cheat disabled, it manages to get 60 frames steadily with no drops, whereas there are times in vanilla where I'm getting sub 20 frames. I literally can't play on PC without it. I don't care what explanation that you give me for that. I don't care how badly you simp for Daddy Billionaire. You're not gonna convince me to not believe my lying eyes. I've peeped it with my own peepers, and you can't convince me otherwise. Not that people won't try. Oh, they will. Remember Assassin's Creed? It was this little game that came out from this little indie dev called Ubisoft. See, if there's one thing that Ubisoft is known for, it's not quality, but instead, they're known for having the most intrusive, invasive, virus-like copy protection software into the history of PC gaming. No one does it more or as badly as Ubisoft. They'd release Origins with DRM software attached, and a game that should be running at 60 frames a second will never get more than 40 frames because they give more of a shit about people not paying for their game than the quality of life of the people paying for their game, and then have the audacity, the sheer fucking willful ignorance to complain when people vote them the worst company in gaming. See, you have to earn trust, you morons. It isn't given freely. Ass Creed Orgy is a fine example of what happens when you take protecting your copyright more seriously than consumer satisfaction. To this day, the game runs so bad that a sizable portion of the audience has to download an illegal crack in order to play a game that they bought legally. Pause the video right now and just let that thought marinate in your brain for a little bit. I have to do something illegal to use the thing I bought legally. Now that doesn't sound like it should be legal, but the difference is they can get away with it and you can't. GOG launched a program recently where they want to start pushing games preservation. They contacted me a couple weeks ago about doing a sponsored video, and I just decided to do the thing on my own because I really didn't want to try and force a video about a topic I care about into a format that doesn't fit the topic, because this is bigger than just games and it's bigger than a paycheck. Also, they didn't want to sign a contract. They were like, oh, we don't need a contract and email will do just fine. And I was like, the contract ain't to protect you, honey. It's to protect me. Anyway, efforts like this GOG program should be applauded and supported, because without efforts like this, all of those games that you stream on Steam are going to eventually no longer work. Take Sekiro, for example. Many people, including myself, are running into an issue where the game hangs on start. No one knows why. It just starts happening, and then it stops, and then it starts happening again. I haven't found a fix for it, and because that game is a whole 5 years old, you can bet your tuchus that FromSoft isn't going to patch it and make it work again. And you don't even try playing anything on that remote Steam Deck. You remember that piece of shit? I can't get anything to run on that thing anymore. If you bought that device, like me, thinking Valve was above abandoning hardware, well, welcome to the club. We both got suckered. With all this hardware level copy protection and invasive virus-like software protection infesting everything we buy, soon we won't be able to play any games released in the last 10 years. And won't that be a dystopian world for gamers to live in? Companies are under no obligation to release fixes for old copyright software that no longer works. If you can't register your game because that game's servers no longer work, sorry Charlie, you're out of luck. Think about it like this. You're a company that has made the same game for 15 years. You don't innovate, you're formulaic, and you're chasing dopamine loops because good design is hard and microtransactions are lucrative. Your audience is buying your stuff every couple of years because they need their fix of the loop, or because they genuinely like getting up every morning for work and wish they could have the genuine work experience at home. Your customer service sucks, you're antagonistic towards your customers, and you put viruses in people's computers so that other people won't pirate your ass games. And you think that you're gonna convince someone to buy your game because they can't pirate it? That's delusional. Right up there with it was a peaceful protest and tariffs aren't taxes. The way I think about it is this: you're in competition with the black market, not the other way around. They have a free product. Who's their competition? You? Don't make me laugh, little bro. Your product costs money. See, right there, that already puts you behind the competition. You're asking me to, quite literally, exchange my labor for your product when I could just go get it for free. So you have to provide someone with something worth buying. I would never pirate a FromSoft game, not even as a kid. Want to know why? Because I want to support people that deserve it. They work hard. They consistently churn out bangers. And I love the people behind those games so much that I want them to survive and thrive. I give my money willingly and eagerly for companies like that. But if your way of showing me appreciation for buying your product is to fill my computer with bloatware, then you need to get thee to a nunnery, heathen, and be gone with your bullshit. See, they don't want to compete with the black market because they know their product is inferior. Recycled garbage, like a sandwich made out of other sandwiches. When a product is bad, people pirate it. When a product is aggressively okay, less people pirate it, but still, people do it because no one wants to pay for a mediocre experience unless mediocre is the only thing you've ever experienced. And Activision's made billions of dollars off of that model. So fight for your right to the shit that you buy. You see a company man fighting against your right to repair? Go spray paint a Hitler mustache on every picture of his face that you could find. You see Ubisoft is putting Denuvo in their latest re-release of whatever turd they published 10 years ago? Don't buy it. It's time we take a page out of the reactionaries' playbook and start boycotting this shit. Or, you know, get it another way.
Drinks. Cold. Are you ready? Here we go. Soft drinks, lemonade, water, cold tea. It's up to you, it's up to me. Cold drinks come in 4 cups. Gotta know the size before you fill it up. Biggie, medium, small, kids meal. Keep it straight, it's a good deal. Use the scoop to fill with ice. Never use the cup, take my advice. For soft drinks, fill the ice halfway. No matter the size, that's what I say. Tilt the cup and push against the lever. Keeps the foam down now, isn't that clever? If there's still foam, let it settle down. Don't pour it off, or your boss will frown. When you reach a 1/4 inch from the top, that's where you wanna stop. If the customers say they wanna stay, put the drink on the left-hand side of the tray. If the order's to go, put the lid on tight. Make sure it pops to do it right. Then hand that drink to the coordinator and tell the guest you'll see him later.
Don't forget to smile when you serve cold drinks. Always say thank you to the guest. You're the one that can make the difference.
I try to keep a straight
Things
face.
stay the same, half full with ice. I said it again,
awesome.
Fill the juice to a 1/4 inch from the top, just like you did the pop. Water is a courtesy to our guests. Use a small cup, you know the rest. Now it's time to serve cold tea, but the ice is different, listen carefully. Instead of half full, fill it all the way up to the top of the cup. Add the tea, and if they ask for lemon, put it here, now that's a given. Cold drinks, that's all there is to it. Go ahead and try, I know you can do it.
I think you're overestimating my skill, lady. Excuse me, what do I do again? Do I use the ice scooper to scoop the ice? Is that how that works? Oh, okay.